yeah, the power of that technology is quite incredible. And as you said, it depends what people share. But you know, sharing is one of the great human arts. It's an art. Sharing is an art. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody wants to do it, but it's necessary for society to move forward, that we share things. And there's a very old religious saying that you can only take with you what you give away, which is the principle of sharing. Yeah, and um, that the only real experiences you have are experiences where you give something to the experience, whether it's time or energy or um, um, resources, whatever you have that you share. And that's vital for life. It's a very important life skill. And it feeds into music and other things as well, because most people make music for themselves with the realization that it affects other people. That's the
Mm.
right statement. And this it's very, at the beginning it's very, it's quite selfless, because it's something that we can, it's a creative art that we can share with other people, that benefits both ourselves and others. It changes somewhere down the line when money gets involved and people get paid money to produce certain kinds of music, that can have a pretty negative effect, because um, people then get controlled through their their creative process gets affected
Mm.
by the money and things, and comfort. And as a musician, I'm very well aware that comfort affects productivity. Yeah, that's a strange thing to say, isn't it? But it's true. Comfort affects productivity, not just in music, but in all areas of life, business as well. Comfort affects productivity. Up to a certain level, you want people to be comfortable. Up to a certain level. It's like with income.
Mm.
Um, all studies show that in Western society, if you earn up to 30,000 to 40,000 pounds a year, you're in a happy framework. When you start to earn more than that, you statistically become unhappier. It's not that it's a bad thing to make more money. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that people tend, for some reason, to make bad choices beyond a certain point. And it's interesting that they do that. There was something else I wanted to say about the influence of music, but yeah, or comfort. That was the point. Comfort. Um,
Mm.
everybody knows that a musician's first album or first two albums are really good, and then after that, things go downhill, right? If you're lucky, you maybe get three good albums, and then everything goes downhill. But usually, it's like first album is great, and the first album is great because you had your whole life to make your first album, right? That's why it's great. You had your whole life to make the first album. Your whole life so far. But then you've got 1 year or 2 years to make your next album, and there's pressure on you, and your whole environment changes. Everything is different because nobody listened to the songs when you wrote the songs for your first album. Nobody listened. Because you played them, you wrote them for yourself, and you played them to yourself, and nobody listened to it. And now suddenly there's an album, and everybody listens to it, and everybody knows the songs, and everybody knows you, and you have to go out on tour, and everybody sings along, and everybody knows everything that's going on, and your whole world changes. and you have to go and try and write another album that's like your first album, it's impossible.
Mm.
You can't do it because you're not the same person in the same environment. Now there are a few people who actually understand this and are able to keep hold of that creative urge and an element, but not many. But not many. Most people lose their way very, very, very quickly because not only the pressure in their environment, but the comfort level changes. And a lot of the time, the more comfortable you become, the less creative you are. The more comfortable your couch, the more time you spend sitting on it.
Mm.
Right? It's just, it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. It's not saying it's good or bad. It's just the way it is. And so comfort has an inversely proportional effect on creativity. A lot of the great artists in history were very poor and lived in very uncomfortable situations. It was great for their art. It's bad for them, but it was great for their art because adversity pushes people forward. And so you do get good artists here and there who are able to hold on to their creativity, but most are not. And they spend a large part of their life trying to write their first album again, or which is like trying to stay young forever. That doesn't work. You have to grow. I saw that when I worked in music, and everybody was trying to stay young, be trendy, and be fashionable, and nobody was trying to grow old gracefully, which is what you need to do. Grow up and grow old gracefully. You got to be smarter. You got to be wiser. You have to mature. You can't produce the same music at 30 that you did at 20, at 40 that you did at 30. You can't do it. You have to be exploratory, progressive. You have to be, who would be examples? I don't know. You have to be David Bowie or Sting, and find a way to evolve and grow with your music. Or you just lose yourself to a certain extent. Or you end up taking drugs and spending all your money on drugs, or you become paranoid, or you see what happens with the movie stars, right? A lot of them end up alcoholics or drug addicts, or they're able to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds in a weekend, or $500,000 for a bottle of wine or something. They're able to do ridiculously stupid and crazy things because they've lost their way, because they've lost their, what do the musicians call it, mojo. They've lost their mojo, with this mysterious creative element that that should guide what they do. Better to be guided by good than bad. Interesting, the number of rock and roll musicians who will say that who will openly say they sold their soul to the devil in order to create their music. It's not just in songs. I mean, there's thousands of songs about that. But they'll say it for real. Bob Dylan said it. He said, I sold my soul to the devil for my music. He said it many times as an artist. and other people have talked about it as well. The persona that is required means that you become somebody else. It's very difficult to be famous and be yourself. It's not impossible, but it is very difficult, though, because you try to serve different masters. Try to serve different masters, and that doesn't work very well. That doesn't work very well at all. To serve the right masters. So